Travel journalist Jill Starley-Grainger. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, there's so many people will be thinking, can I go? And it's really, you have to check very carefully with each country. At the moment, we're not allowed to go anywhere, are we?
No, currently you're not, but we do expect those restrictions to be relaxed sometime in the next month or two.
OK, so what is your advice to people who are planning their holidays? I mean, lots of them will have had them cancelled already, so let's deal with them first. What do you do if you've had your holiday cancelled? Should you be getting your money back?
Yes, definitely. If you've had your holiday cancelled, I would suggest one of two options. Either you can rebook it for next year if the company is trying to do something brilliant and say, oh, we'll give you the same price or even a better deal next year as long as you rebook with us. But alternatively, you are due your money back for canceled trips. If the company has canceled the trip for any reason whatsoever, including coronavirus, you are legally entitled to your money back within 14 days. So I would not recommend taking vouchers or any other refund credit notes or anything else because currently there's no evidence that those are protected by any legal measure should a company go bust. So yeah, I would either move your trip or get your money back if your trip has been cancelled by the holiday company.
OK, and if it hasn't been cancelled by the holiday company yet, for example, people might have trips planned, I don't know, in next month, in June. What's your position?
So it very much depends on your situation. So I would say that for some people, not everybody, but for some people, they may well be able to still go on holiday later this summer. You know, maybe June is a bit iffy. We don't know what the Foreign Office is going to advise. But I would say that before you take any trips, you need to be really careful and think, what would happen if I got to a destination and either I got sick or the destination was put into lockdown and I suddenly couldn't get back home for 1 or 2 months? I think a lot of people think that when you're in quarantine, somebody else is footing the bill, but that's not the case. If you get to a destination and you suddenly are put in lockdown, as we saw happen in early days of the virus, you are the one who has to foot the bill. And in the early days, a lot of people had travel insurance that would have covered this because it was all unexpected. Well, it's no longer unexpected anymore, and there is no travel insurance in the UK that will cover you for what is now considered a known situation. So even if you had a trip booked for this summer that you'd paid for long before this happened, and you even took out travel insurance then, the really important thing you need to do is check with your travel insurer that they are still happy for you to go, because there will be clauses in there saying that in situations like this, you have to check. And in some cases, they may want to pay for you to cancel the trip.
OK, so let's talk about the situation at the moment. So at the moment, we know that Greece, for example, is beginning to open things up. There are changes in various places. But the reality is that we don't know at this stage at what date we'll be allowed to go.
No. And so if you have a trip that is coming up in the next few weeks, what some companies are doing, because they don't want to refund people if they don't have to, is they're saying, oh, we'll let you take a voucher or a refund credit note instead. What would probably be wise is actually just to hold fire and wait until you get closer to the time if you can. If you think that you're one of those people who could take the trip if need be, if you could deal with all of those other situations, you know, being in lockdown and having people look after your pets or your family back home, hold fire as long as you can, because realistically, in the next few weeks, most trips probably will still be cancelled unless unless the government makes a big announcement.
And just even trips in the UK, there's no date set in stone yet when you might be able to, I don't know, go to a hotel or go to a B&B or self-catering either.
No, and I do know that the government is looking to try to reopen some of this stuff, but I think it's probably likely to be later in summer. Of course, we don't know what is going to happen with the R numbers and all of the medical situation. But I do think that it's possible that in late summer, early autumn, people may be able to go to destinations in the UK and possibly even drive to places in Europe. And maybe you could go to a lovely remote villa where you would be far from people. And then if you had to get back, you could drive yourself back. So that, you know, I would say if I was planning a trip, I would definitely try to look for places where I could drive, because then you'll be much more control of getting back in a really fast situation. Should all the flights be cancelled, you know, you would still be able to get back.
So much to think about. Jill